Let's talk about a huge event that's coming up for reform. You are going to hold the biggest rally in UK political history. How many people? Where? And you expect they're going to turn up? Have they promised? Have they bought the tickets? Tell us about what you're planning here.
Yeah, I mean, normally when political parties in Britain have conferences, they might get 3,000. They might, on a very big day, get 4,000, but that's about it. And we've got a very, very enthusiastic new membership, so we've booked a big venue in Birmingham. It'll be the launch of our local election campaign as the English counties go to vote on May the 1st, and we have mayors being contested in many parts of the country. So, yeah, we're going to get 5 figures plus turning up. And the others, Labour and Conservative can't do that. There's no energy, there's no enthusiasm. And at the moment, Reform is on a bit of a roll, and we're feeling very optimistic about things.
I was talking before about a caution or maybe a problem that exists in our parliamentary systems that means we can't have the full Trump, right? We don't have the executive power. We don't have as many people that are appointed to governments. There's not entirely the alternative economy or conservative economy that exists in things like the United States. But we can have leaders like yourself who have the same want to get on with it. And hasn't it been amazing? The first 2 weeks of Trump, it's a dozen things a day, and it's not chaos. It's like they have done their homework in the 4 years that they were out, and they didn't just come up with what do we want to do, but how are we going to do it? And everything from problems in the FBI to the trade scenario where basically, without firing a shot, he's got 10,000 troops that Mexico's going to put on the border, the southern border, and effectiveness in the relationship with Canada. This is the future of the type of leadership that people want, which is not, incremental change. No. Fix it.
Yeah, no, I mean, right across the West, what people want is real, genuine, radical change because the sort of globalist status quo just hasn't helped anybody. But you're right to put your finger on something, that the American president does have executive powers and also the ability through patronage to put people into powers of position in a way that doesn't happen in Australia and doesn't happen here. But if you have a prime minister who is committed to a radical agenda with a party behind them in Parliament that's in a majority and is united, you can still do it. And I'm thinking back 40 years to the early 80s. Margaret Thatcher had everybody against her. The BBC, the trade unions, you name it. Everybody was against her. The civil service, but she was able, because she had a united party behind her, to put in place some radical, though painful in the short-term changes. So it can be done in our countries, not as quickly as America, but we do need unity of purpose within our parties.
But also, fascinating to think about as well, the types of things that are being confronted here. Now, again, a week ago, but still how important, when Trump's talking about debanking, all right? And I was watching a conversation amongst a bunch of people obsessing about politics in the United States, from the United States, and they were all kind of shocked about what's he talking about, this thing that's just being pulled out of his backside. So blind are some of the people who parade as the professionals who should know all sides to what you went through in the UK that plenty have gone through in the US.
Yeah, my debanking scandal sort of dominated the front pages for about 2 weeks. I mean, it was as if the whole banking industry were trying to drive me out of the country. It was astonishing. I won in the end, and the chief executive of Britain's biggest bank had to resign. The chief exec of their subsidiary had to resign. So there were 2 pretty good scalps that I was pleased with. But no, this is happening not just here. It's happening. And by the way, debanking is now in the Oxford English Dictionary, thanks to me. I've changed the language. I'm thrilled. So what these commentators in America are saying, we've never heard of debanking. Well, I tell you what, it's in the OED, and Trump is going to fight very hard on this one too. You see, ultimately, the more digitized we become, you can't survive or exist without bank accounts or means of payment. If you think about it, it's the ultimate form of cancel culture, and it must be fought everywhere.
Yeah, I'm in my last minute here, but well done on the poll. You're number one at 25, Labor 24, Conservatives 21. Then it's 14 and 9, mate. We begin where we end where we began. The joint is wrapping itself around a movement for change.
Absolutely, and you know what? The consensus we've had for years doesn't work. Ordinary folk get poorer, our borders are open, excess migration changes our communities. People want strong, patriotic, real leadership that actually cares about ordinary people, not just the big corporates.
It's almost like you've had to time out before. Thank you so much, Nigel. Do appreciate it. He knows what it's like when the clock and they're deafening in the ear that it's time to go. We'll talk again next week. Thank you, mate.